Guys, welcome back to the channel. If you're new here, I'm so happy to have you. So my previous subscribers, welcome back to the channel. So for today in particular, we're going to be discussing Medicaid and what is going to be happening going on with Medicaid. Because right now, the Republicans were doing something in the House with the tax cuts and whatnot. I want to go take a quick look and see what is going on with Medicaid and everything going there. And then we're also going to be discussing the tax cuts. Remember, I talked about this before that February was going to be the main month of 45 consolidating his power. We're still in the very month of February right now. It is February 26th at 12:08 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on Wednesday. But we're still very much in February. But once we start to go into March, you'll start to see a division within Congress and the White House. So we're going to explore both two parts of that. Today, we're going to look at it, what's happening with Medicaid. We're going to start off the video there. And then we're going to explore what is going to go on within the House and Congress and the funding and all those things. I feel intuitively that even though it passed, there's something that's going to come out that's going to prevent it in some way. So we're going to take a look and kind of explore both options here, and we'll go from there. Now, if you want to help out the channel grow in any capacity, in any way that you can do so by liking, commenting, subscribing, hitting the bell icon, or letting us know in the comment section below what you guys think of today's video. Also, you can watch this video longer than normal, and you'll also be helping the algorithm. By helping the algorithm, you'll be telling the algorithm, hey, I like this content, show me more. You'll be showing not only my content, but other second tarot card readers and astrologers as well. So help me, helps you, helps everybody. Now, if you have not noticed already, YouTube has been deleting comments, and the same thing in regard to, what's it called? Deleting comments, but also notifications. You can be able to bypass that by going to my description or comment section. You can follow my Blue Sky account and my Facebook group, and you'll be notified by me personally. Plus, you also have a direct line of connection to me if you have any questions. All right, so let's begin. We have a lot to get through today. Consider this reading to be kind of like a blind reading. I really didn't want to touch upon it because I just felt like bamboozle. So we're not going to read anything in particular on the internet. We're just going to take a very blind eye point of view. And you guys can tell me or further clarify in the comment section below if I said something incorrectly or something along those lines. But let's take a look. It's going to be a blind reading. We're going to do Medicaid first, and then we are going to jump into the funding part. But let me just make sure it's not Medicare, because I know that sometimes it can be quite confusing, at least for me at least. I don't know if it is for you, but the words, it almost feels like interchangeable, even though they don't really mean the same thing. Okay, yeah, so Medicaid. Yep, that's the word, Medicaid. Okay, let's go take a look. Let's see what's going on with Medicaid. This video is just for entertainment purposes only, for educational purposes only as well. I am not legally responsible for anything I do or say in this video. All right, so let's begin. Okay, so let's see. So, let's see. Okay, now we got it. Peter Sanders, tell me what's going on with Medicaid. What is the future of Medicaid in the story? So this is what's going on with Medicaid. Okay. What is the story of Medicaid going forward in the United States? The bottom of the deck here, we have Republicans trying to hold on. Okay, and then on the top of the deck here, we have the King of Cups. So what is going on with Medicaid? It gives me the story, but first, before we get into the story part, we're going to touch upon what is going on with Medicaid, and then this is the story to further explain what is going on in these three cards. The first card that comes up is the Hermit, Darkness. So what is going on with Medicaid? It has been for a very long time, Medicaid and Medicare have been very scrutinized by and being weaponized. And a lot of people don't really understand what Medicaid really is or what Medicare is. And because of that, there is some sort of disparity between proper understanding in terms and terminology, and it's not being taught to them. And because it's not being taught to them, they just think that it's a random word that if it's cut, they don't understand the ramification of that. They don't understand it. So what the darkness is? The darkness is the lack of proper understanding about what is Medicare and what is Medicaid. And because of that, when people have been scrutinizing Medicare and Medicaid, they're thinking that it won't hurt them or injure them in any capacity. But that is saying that's not what that was. Medicare and Medicaid was to help those who could not afford insurance. So technically, in essence, I'm getting information this has to do with Obamacare in some way. Let me just see if that is true. Medicaid is Obamacare. Let's see. Okay, let's see. It says no, Medicaid is not Obamacare, but both are government-funded health insurance programs. Obamacare, also known as the Affordable Care Act or ACA, is intended to make health insurance affordable for all Americans. Medicaid is for people with limited income. Okay, so the difference is there. Medicaid is for those with limited income. Affordable care insurance by Obamacare allows all Americans to have some sort of access to health insurance. So the hermit card means there was some sort of scrutiny. Goes back well before 45, right? This is something that they've been heavily scrutinized, and a lot of people kind of don't really understand what Obamacare is, how Medicare and Medicaid, and because of that, it's been left in the dark. The understanding, the definition of it has been very widely confused. And it's also on part with the government, because the government never really defined in a way, in repetitively motion, what that is. They never really defined it to really ingrain into the mind of the average American person. The average American person is pretty dumb, not going to lie. I mean, look at the country. We can kind of see, you know, they're not the brightest. And here you have in the center, you have the Queen of Cups. And the Queen of Cups here is the limitation. The Queen of Cups, the limitation, right? The capping. What is going on with Medicaid in particular? Medicaid is being capped in some way. There's some sort of limit, there's a restriction there. But it's still in the cup. It's full, but it can't expand. It's limited into expansion in some way. And I feel like I'm getting energy of like Elizabeth Warren and Bernie Sanders, possibly revolving around free healthcare, right? There's a limit to where it can expand to. And that also it is aided in that motion here with the Hermit card. It's then aided in the Queen of Cups, which is indicative and talking about really in hindsight the push for free healthcare for all Americans, universal healthcare, right? Because of that criticism here, people misconstrued what Medicaid really is because they combine it with universal healthcare and the policies there. They may not agree with it because they politicized it. Here in the ending, though, I don't see Medicaid ending. We have the three stories here reversed. The three stories ending. I feel like Medicaid is so essential and so crucial to the society in the United States that even if it does disappear, even for momentarily, it will not disappear forever. This is not something that will just be dismantled and will stay dismantled. This is something that will come back, right? There's a rebound here, right? It's almost as if it never really went anywhere, if you will. Because here we have the next card here, which is the strength and the devil on both sides here. The strength of Medicaid, right? So the strength, and we're going to look at it from different perspective here, but I'm getting multiple information, so I'm going to further amplify that. Here we have the strength card, the strength of Medicaid, right? The strength and this idea and this proposal helped a lot of Americans. Here, the next card is further amplified by the Emperor. And the Emperor being 45. And 45 being the Emperor in essence. It's talking about here that Medicaid was the center stage. It was the predominant choice for a lot of Americans before Affordable Care Act. And a lot of Americans still cannot get Obamacare, at least in some capacity, right? Because we talk about Medicaid being given to those with limited income, fixed income, if you will. Here we do have the King of Stores, right? The King of Stores. So the strength of the Emperor, which means in the past, the Medicaid has been very strong. And now it's reversed because we have the guy in the chair and then it's reversed, which is the King of Stores. And the King of Stores, remember, this is my incumbency card. Doesn't matter who it is, whether it's a physical person or not. When this card is outright, that means they maintain control, they remain in power. They are a winner or they are the one who defeats the incumbent. This is reversed, which tells me they lose power, it loses influence, it loses strength, it loses authority, its control on the people, essentially. And here you have here. So again, are we talking about a possible removal of Medicaid? yes, I do see a removal of Medicaid. Despite what I said here, remember what I said, there could be a momentarily removal, but then I see it coming back, if anything. Because we have the Emperor card here, right? The Emperor is saying it's strong. It affects a lot of people. And because it is Knight of Swords, it's going to get removed. This is something that's going to happen. But then the next card that comes in is we have the Knight of Swords, which means we come right back to state the day, like the Knight of Swords. Someone comes in to try and fix it, or better yet, it just comes back into its rightful position. Because remember, this is the storage, this is also a storage, right? It's gonna go back to sitting once again. Now, this could also be interpreted in two different ways, but this is the likely path that I'm seeing at the moment. Because the next card that comes in is the decision has been made, a decision is final, in a way, not a decision has been final. Excuse me, the decision has been final, which is the Two of Pentacles reversed, and the decision is now. The devil. No, it won't be gone forever. So no, I'm going to say no, Medicaid won't be gone forever, because it's further amplified by the Four of Pentacles, which means it holds on to power and influence. And the top of the card here, we have here amidst the turmoil and tumultuous energy, I do see Medicaid holding on via the King of Cups. Now, this is very interesting nonetheless, because when we talk about and look at all the other cards here, and we start to explain this in a different format and a different perspective, we start to look at it from a different point of view now. We have the strength of 45, forces the removal of Medicaid. He has no choice but to reinstate what he had done because he saw the effect had created some sort of pushback, and because of that, the decision is final, and that's a no. So in essence, it's the same story, but it's again, the way you interpret it is still again the same situation. So yeah, I do think that Medicaid is going to disappear. That's my, for those of you guys who have been saying that they wanted further clarification in regards to Medicaid, I do see Medicaid disappearing, but coming back. And Trump being 45 reinstating it in some way. But there's going to be some severe pushback. I don't see Medicaid being going anywhere with this. I'm going to be honest with you, I don't see Medicaid going anywhere. Let's see, where are we at in terms of the reading? 12 minutes? Perfect. Perfect. Now we're going to talk about the funding part. Let's talk about funding and the Republican. Now, if you want to watch this specific video, I will put this video in the link below and at the end of the video, which talked about 45's next 6 months when he was taking office in January. So that will talk about all of the information regarding that. And you can kind of like take a look and see, okay, do you agree or disagree? Now, I was going to do a video on this separately, but I figured this might be a little mini preview before I do the video on what's going to happen in the month of March or what the energy is going to be like, and we'll go from there. But if you want to watch that link in the description below, it will be in the link in the description below or at the end of the video. All right, so let's go ahead and let's begin. Okay, so let's take a look and see what's going on in terms of the funding. So Spirits and Angels tell me about that new tax cut that the Republicans have passed in the House, I think yesterday, I believe, with a $1 trillion tax cut and the slashing of Medicaid, if that might. What's going on? Okay, the first card that we get here is betrayal, the 10 of Swords. What's going on in Congress right now? What's going on in Congress? Okay. Well, I don't know what my guys are saying because they're saying like they're sounding very human. Is this my opinion or is this a delayed consciousness? Okay, never mind. That thought that I heard in the back of my head was my opinion. So no, it wasn't spirit. It was my opinion. I wanted to double check that, and I'm like, they seem to have a little bit of a bias here, but that was my opinion. I always like to double check and make sure I'm reading independently from my own opinions. And if I do have an opinion, I will tell you guys that before I do read. Okay. Final card. This is the final card. What's the bottom of the deck? The Empress reverse, the Oligarchy, and we have here what's on top. 8 of Pentacles, going back to square one, redoing this. They're going to be redoing it. That's what it feels like. It feels like it's going to get sent back to the house, and the house is going to have to redo this. Okay, again, I'm reading for entertainment purposes only. Okay, the first card that comes in is we have the Ten of Swords. And the Ten of Swords is telling me here that there is some sort of betrayal. There's some sort of betrayal, and it's crossed by the Temperance, the balance. The betrayal of the balance. The equilibrium has been thrown off. The equilibrium has been thrown off in some way in the house in regard to the cuts and the funding, right? The next card here comes in as the Three of Swords, which is the heart. Another betrayal card, right? It's the nail in the coffin, essentially. Actually, this has a direct coffin in here. If the coffin comes up, we know it's the nail in the coffin. Let's see. Spirit Angels will tell me it's the Three of Swords card here, the nail in the coffin. Is that what you're referring to? You can't make that up. You can't make that up. It literally just came out. You saw it fly right out of the deck and land exactly on top of the card that I was asking about. That's how I do my reading. But yeah. So yeah, it's the nail in the coffin. Like I said, this is the nail in the coffin in some way, but it's heading towards the future in context because the way it's positioned right now, number 19 being the coffin, it's on the right, which means it's heading towards the future. If it was heading towards the radiator, it means it's heading towards the past. It's going towards the future, which means the nail in the coffin is in the future and not behind, which means we'll get to see what this Three of Swords means. Going into the representative card, or the card that represents the representative, the people in the house, is the Three of Pentacles. And the Three of Pentacles means that there are some of those who are secretly proposing undercut funding. It almost feels like this is what I'm getting. I'm getting the energy here that there are two funding bills that go in. One gets approved, the other one is being sleeked in. Because I'm seeing two things here. The one that was approved also had a whole bunch of things in there that were not disclosed when people were voting, but yet they were voting to accept these things that were thrown in there. The other thing is behind the scene, there's a bill that's being crafted and it's going under the radar. I don't know how that's working because I'm also seeing three bills. I'm seeing the first bill get passed, and that one comes with like caveats, right? It comes with something in it that people did not really approve of, that they did not even know was there in the terms and conditions. And then we have the second bill, which as this one is going through the House of Representatives being voted on, and it also carries amendments and things that are in that bill that the representatives do not agree with. While that second bill is in effect, or going into effect if they're voting on it, the one that's hidden behind the scene, though, that's the one that kind of like circumvents Congress in some way. There's a circumvent here. I don't know what it is, but it feels like something's being circumvented here. The next card that comes in is the World card. The World card is surrounding the world. What is going on in the world here? What is this? This is the world stage. It feels like the media is very active in Congress for some reason. I'm seeing a lot of media activity. I'm seeing like light and cameras and action, and almost like it feels like it's theatrical in some way. Like the World card is just showing that there's a lot of media attention in the House around this point in time. There's a lot of media attention. There's something going on in the House that causes the media to be there, and it's going to be like news. Like it's going to be all over. But also, again, there's two different sides of it, right? I said that there was going to be camera, lights, and action. That could be a creation of illusion, right? It could be a creation of that false sense of perception. But also, it's that notion that there's something going on in the House that is so important that it has to be casted and broadcasted in the news outlets. Well, it doesn't mean the news will report the news accurately. By any means, it probably won't. But it will be saying that essentially with the World card here, it could be saying that these people in positions of power, which is represented by the representative before, is going to be more theatrical. They could be actors, if you will, right, to put forth a certain agenda or idea. They oftentimes forget that they themselves are a representative. They think themselves as like, we got to screw the government, but they forget they are the government. The next card that comes in is we have the Queen of Swords. And the Queen of Swords is almost like they lose power in some way, lose influence. This is like the Queen of Swords. It's represents the Democrats here. The Democrats, in this aspect, in the House of Representatives, lose power. They're unable to do anything. It almost feels like a very docile. They can't do anything. But it's also saying as well the power of Congress in general, and specifically revolving around the House, is losing its power and influence very dramatically and very importantly. So the Queen of Swords, the House is losing power, is losing its control on the budget, holding the United States purse, which is the Nine of Pentacles. Now that starts to make a lot of sense because remember when I said before, I stopped seeing like the first one go in, then the second one, and then the third one just kind of gets circumvented. Remember when I talked about the circumvented? This makes a lot of sense now. It might be indicating that maybe there's a circumvented where 45 just bypasses Congress entirely and does entire funding and basically dilutes the House of its constitutional duty to orchestrate the budget in some way. It could be something like that. That could be something that could be indicative here. Which again, we all know how that's going to turn out because when a president is showing that he himself has more control, he will now carry the blame if anything was to happen, right? Here we have the next card come in as the Queen of Cups. That restriction in some way. So what is going on in terms of the House and the funding going towards the future? We have a restriction or the cap in some way. There's a limit. It's something that cannot be expanded. I keep seeing like a balloon inside like the cup. And once it reaches this surrounding, it's being restricted. It can't go any bigger. It can't get larger. It's there, but it's restricted. And it could get bigger if the lid was open, but the lid is closed, and therefore it can only get as big as this environment will allow it to. For example, think of it like a fish. You put a fish in a fish tank, it will only get as big as the fish tank itself, right? You can only grow where your environment allows you to grow the fullest. Same idea, same concept. Here we have the nut card here on the path, heading towards the path, which is towards the radiator, is the devil, which means the restriction, the devious, the illusion, that false sense of security, right? That is that devil card. The right side, though, is reversed, which means it's facing the opposite direction of the future, which means indecision. So what's heading towards the future? Indecision. That's why it's reversed. But a decision has been made simultaneously while there's also indecision, which means while there is fighting in Congress, there's something being ready made around that same point, right? Almost like someone takes control. Possibly 45 or Elon takes control and say, no, this is what's going to happen, whether you agree or disagree, this is what's going to be, this is the new land, this is the new law, this is what we're going with, whether you like it or not, because you guys can get your stuff together, we're going to do it for you. What is the final outcome card here? Remember I said 3 build, the fourth one. So I feel like to me there's 2 more possibly, or maybe even like, well, because we already have one already, so that's one cup. Then we have 3 more cups. Well, 2 cups, yeah, hold on, excuse me. So, yeah, so there might be 2 more builds going in the house for funding. Again, one that gets circumvented, and that's the 4th cup. So, it feels like in a way there's still going to be that drawing board. It feels like this is not one, it's not the first draft is what it feels like. Because we have here, they're still working on it, which is the 8 of Pentacles here. It gets sent back, they're still working on it. And here we have the Oligarch, which is represented by the Empress card and the Knight of Swords going back. I don't see this being the final draft here. Alright, so let's take a look. Let's see what the index cards, and then we'll just finish the reading. I'm getting blue. This blue or light blue? This one? We have stinking. So something is floating, something coming to the surface. So what is coming to the surface? I'm getting this yellow card, so yellow. Winner, a loser. So something is coming to the surface revolving around a loser. Okay, what's the loser? I'm hearing the word bill. We have here 6 months. Less than 6 months, something's going to arise. So less than 6 months. Remember, cards don't really know time that well, so 6 months could be different. It could be a little bit later, but within that time frame. Or 6. Well, I feel I'm getting 7. I'm getting like 7 lunar moon cycles, whatever that is. And here we have write your own story. The story's already been written. You don't have the ability to write your own story. It almost feels like, again, like I said, it doesn't feel like Congress is making that decision, like almost someone's making the decision on behalf of Congress. Okay, I'm getting here love reversed, which means hate. So the opposite is hate. And then we have here shift or shifted. So the power shifted in terms of hate. Okay, let's take a look. Let's read this now. So we have something floating of a loser within less than 6 months. Someone is not in control of their life. Something's not in control. And here we have hate and shift. Okay, so I'm hearing the power at will cannot float because the loser is the one who's writing the story. Okay, so because it says here, because of the shift in less than 6 months, hate will be shifted. It kind of feels like to me, I'm gonna be honest with you guys, it feels like to me like the people in Congress are starting to really have a disdain or a sour taste towards the administration. That there's some sort of sour, like the hate is starting to perpetuate. So I definitely feel like within less than 6 months, you can definitely see there's going to be a lot of toxicity in DC. So that's what I'm getting. That's the information for right now in terms of the funding, where we're heading. Again, I'm reading energy. I'm not predicting anything. I'm just reading energy and seeing what's out there, and it could be changed within like five minutes. But that is the current energy with the current likely outcome based on where we're heading now. This is what I'm getting, both with Medicaid and, of course, what is going on in terms of the funding. All right, guys, I love you. Have a great night, and I'll see you all soon. Don't forget to watch all my videos. I posted a lot of them, so take the time to watch them if you have not already. They will all be connected to one another. All right, guys, I love you. Have a great night.